Still, not got an intro. Now, it's been a long time, hasn't it? It's been a long time, admittedly, but I think you're all used to that now. Anyway, as the title suggests this video, I'm going to be giving my 2017 to 18 Premier League predictions, which will 1,000,000% be better than Spencer's. Now, I know you've probably got questions flying about, where have I been, what am I going to do? That will all be answered on the next video, which I'm going to put like some top 100 silver gameplay behind it or something, and it's basically me just doing a video talking to you, saying what I've been doing, what I'm going to be doing for the upcoming year. And also, interestingly, I am actually going to do a FIFA 17 Road to Glory series, which will be very, very quick. It won't take more than 2.5 weeks, and if I lose a game in it, it's over. So, I know that FIFA's kind of dead now, well, very, very dead, but considering people asked for it throughout the year, I just thought I might as well get a bit of content out before FIFA 18, you know, maybe warm the channel up a bit. I mean, it's either that or do a diss track on hashtag Nathan Spencer, which wouldn't be too bad actually, especially if you've seen Twitter yesterday. Absolutely fuming with that, by the way. Spencer's trying to mug me off saying there's not a contract on the table. I mean, if he wants a diss track, he'll get it. And Joe the Shiva, don't think you're safe too. But also, just very, very quickly as well, I've got a giveaway on Twitter. My Twitter will be there. My Twitter's also down below, where it's just a retweet and follow for FIFA 18 Icon Edition, where, I don't know, you get loads of worth stuff. They're like £90 each or something like that. Follow me on Twitter, retweet that, but I'll also be giving away one on here, so make sure you subscribe and like this video. Basically gonna do this like off the cuff because I've not got that much time, so forgive me if I get a few things wrong or whatever. I've not really looked over anything. So, bottom of the table. I should have actually written it down. I might write it down. Anyway, bottom of the table is going to, unfortunately, be Brighton and Hove Albion. Is it Brighton, Hove, or Brighton? No. Brighton. Unfortunately, like some would say, whatever comes up must come down. In this case with Brighton, I mean, I just don't think they're strengthened enough. I've not kept tabs on like each team that well, but I'm pretty sure Brighton have just really like kept that squad together, which is a good thing to do. I like that, but I think the gap between the Premier League and the Championship now is that big that you just require some spending, I think, to stay up. So, unfortunately, Brighton, you're doomed. Next one for me is actually a tough one because I like them. It's going to be Burnley. Burnley, it's a difficult one because, again, the budget is just so small. They hardly spent when they came up, but in my opinion, they've got one of the two best managers in the league. The amount of games that Burnley won last year by like 1 goal, 1-0 at home. Did they win an away game? I think they might have won one right at the end. I don't know, but they're surely not going to have like a top 4 or 5 home record this year. I just can't see it. So, I mean, it's not like last year was lucky, don't get me wrong, but I just don't think they can maintain that type of home form when the away form is that bad. So, unfortunately, as well, because they've not spent, I'm going to put Burnley at 19. Who should we have to complete the bottom 3? I think, again, hard because, I mean, I think we're running out of northern teams in the Prem, but I'm going to go for Huddersfield. Yeah, I'd like them to stay up. It was a toss between these and the upcoming team next, but I gave the upcoming team the benefit of the doubt for a reason I'm going to say in a minute. Huddersfield, I think they could have spent the money better elsewhere. Tom Ince I've never really rated. I think he's a bit overrated. I do like that Aaron Moy that they had on loan last season. He was amazing in the Championship, but on the Championship, Huddersfield actually conceded more goals than Wigan Athletic, who went down. And bringing that sort of like defence and just imbalance to the Premier League, I think will be a bit too much for them, so I'm going to tip Huddersfield to, unfortunately, go down. Oh, they signed that, what's his name? That Jorgensen, who Danes were saying, who was centre-back in my 14-0 with 100k team, so maybe they've got every chance. He could shore that defence up. Originally, I did have this next team in my back 3, and it's going to be Swansea City. With this prediction, I've got to try and maybe predict how the transfer window might go as well, and if they sell Sigurdsson for £50 million, surely they're going to invest that like elsewhere, all over the pitch, for a team that's going to be good enough to stay in the Premier League. As simple as that. To be honest, we enter like that gap of teams, don't we, where, don't know, there's like 2 or 3 points between like 10th and 16th or something, so you might as well do like ip-dip-do or something between these teams. But next up, I'm going to have Newcastle United. I've gone the tune reluctantly, as I do actually go to a fair few of Newcastle away games with my mate. Atsu's never really cut it in the Prem. Time will tell with Murphy. You've got, who else have they got? Mankio. Did they sign Mankio? I think so. He's never really cut it. I just think they're signing players that literally are lower end of the Premier League, and a team like Newcastle, well, a team with the potential of Newcastle, the size of Newcastle, should be bringing in better and bigger players in my opinion, so I think they'll disappoint. Now next up, in 15th place, we have Watford, town of my favourite boxer, Anthony Joshua. Catching up now, been the gym. Wait, just go that way and push him up. There we go. Anyway, Watford, not really a fan of. Not so much the players, but the board. You can't keep chopping, changing manager and expect to keep getting lucky. Staying in the division, one season it's just going to fall apart. I don't think this season will be that season, as I think they've brought a few good players in. Will Hughes is a very good signing. They've got one of my favourite footballers ever in Ben Watson. I mean, we beat Man City with a Watson goal. Now next up is a weird one, because originally I did have them at 10th, but I don't know, the name of the club just looks weird at 10th in the Premier League. So next up, it's going to be Bournemouth. Bournemouth have the best manager in the league, and it's not even close. He spotted, which I think was Bournemouth's liability in net, which they brought Begovic in for Artur Boruc. I think they have Boruc. I have no idea, to be honest. I've got quite a good football brain. I mean, I think a few people try and plan these predictions, so just give me a break. And they've got Defoe. Defoe could score in this room. They spent big on Aki, I think, did they? So they've got a good balance across the pitch as well, and I think they could easily finish 10th, but for some reason, Bournemouth just doesn't look right next to 10th, so I'll put them 14th. Now, next up is a funny little club. We've got Stoke City. Stoke, they fill the stadium each week, they've got great support, but with great support comes great expectation, and they've fell short of reliving that European dream that they got the hands on in recent years, and I don't think that gap is getting any closer. I just think it's getting further and further. They lost Arnautovic to West Ham. They brought Zuma in, quite a good addition, but Stoke, I don't know how the defensive record was last season, but usually they're quite solid at the back anyway. They'll also have a bit of the Arnautovic money to spend to, I think, maintain 13th, which I think they came in last year. They came around about there anyway. This next team was quite a hard one to predict. They could, depending on how the transfer window goes, they could literally finish anywhere between 9th and 18th to 17th. So we've got Crystal Palace. I've always had a little soft spot for Crystal Palace. I don't know why. I just love watching the home games. They can play some of the most exciting football in the league. They've not weakened at all. They've made a couple of stupid signings. I think they got Loftus-Cheek off Chelsea, but the main thing for Palace is probably keeping hold of Benteke and Zaha. Obviously, if they sell Zaha, they're going to get big money, so that's how they reinvest that, what they do with it. But in my opinion, they can come a bit higher and they can come much lower, especially if they lost Zaha and Benteke and didn't fill it with the right people. I think from here upwards, there'll be that little bit of gap again. So I think between 12th and 16th, there'll be a couple of points. I think there might be a few points between these and next when putting Southampton. It's quite clear that Southampton are going to lose Van Dijk, but 50-60 million pound, are you having a laugh? He's not that good. I mean, it might be a bit biased because he's probably going to end up at Liverpool, but if Southampton invest 50 or 60 million the way that they usually invest money, and they're just losing a decent centre-back, 11th is the minimum they're aiming for, but that's just what I'm going to give them, because I'm going to move on to my next team now, which is West Bromwich Albion. One word, two words, Tony Pulis. If you want stability, if you want your team to stay in the Premier League, if you want to become an established Premier League over time, you give Tony Pulis your club, and it's happening. Most people probably won't have the bag his ear in the Premier League prediction, but again, Tony Pulis does not get near that relegation zone. That is not a thing. Next up, they are playing right now, but it was 2-2 at half-time between Leicester and Arsenal. I'm sure everyone knows the score by now, but I thought I'd record this before I know the full-time result. I mean, one game doesn't make that much of a difference, but still, I didn't really want to know who won or anything like that, and I did draft this before that game anyway, so it's not like I've changed anything. They had a bad start to last season, but the way they treated Ranieri, for me, the weird thing is, because everyone likes Leicester now because of that season that they had, me included. I was watching the Arsenal game, and you feel like you just want them to win, but then when you remember that Ranieri thing, it is the worst thing I think that's ever happened in football. He won the league with Leicester City. He should have got freedom of the city. He should have, I don't know, been able to pick who he wanted to be related to in Leicester, just owned everything in Leicester. Even if he took them to non-league, he still should have been the manager. It was a ludicrous decision, but anyway, I do think with the team that they've got, I think Iheanacho will be a good signing. His like shot conversion rate in the Premier League is, I think, might be like the best ever. I don't know, but yeah, Vardy and Iheanacho, Mahrez, they're gonna come top half, I think. Oh, they've also got Harry Maguire, who people send me saying he looks like me when he just doesn't, literally just because he's got the first name as me. But anyway, we'll carry on. And to be honest, with these, I wanted to put them much lower, really just to annoy Spencer. I still think he gets ahead of himself sometimes. I mean, the man thinks Lanzini's messy. It's quite important to not weaken. West Ham haven't done that. They've got some very astute signings in. Joe Hart, if he rekindles his City days, but I mean, he can go either way. They've brought Hernandez in, who, if he rekindles some kind of that United form, I don't really know what he was like at Leverkusen, I'm not going to pretend I did watch him, but I watched him a lot at United and I loved him. £60 million, if he can play like that, he could end up being one of the signings of the window. But one thing with Hernandez, if he doesn't get service, he will look absolutely woeful. Hopefully, for West Ham fans, Lanzini can provide that, but I mean, I've watched Arnautovic quite a lot as well, and I can see them two clashing. I don't think there's link up there. Okay. Hold whatever you're next to. The moment we've been waiting for. It is my beloved Blues, Everton, and now you. Yeah, you. If you've done a Premier League prediction and you've not got Everton at 7th, then there's probably something wrong with you. I will be absolutely shocked if Everton don't come 7th. There's like 3 leagues in the Premier League. There's the top 6, Everton, and then everyone else. People are looking at Everton's spending like thinking that we can push top 4. As it stands, I think you need a bit of a reality check. Lukaku wasn't as important as people are making out, don't get me wrong. If Lukaku scored 0 goals last year, Everton would have still finished 7th. That proves how big the gap we've got below us is than how big the gap we've got above us is, which is even more worrying for teams like West Ham and Southampton, who are first trying to bridge the gap on us, and then they've got all that to go as well. But yeah, I'm a fan of some of our signings. I mean, we've got a young English core in there now. Pickford could be there for years. We've got Keane, who could be there for years. Rooney, obviously, just for the club commercially, on a commercial point of view, has absolutely boosted Everton's profile. Like, it would have took years to do what Rooney's basically done in a couple months. So on that alone, it has been the right choice to bring him back. But don't get me wrong, Wayne Rooney has a point to prove. It's only 2 or 3 years ago when, wait, what was it? What was Moyes' season? Like 4 years ago when he's United's best player. He's still got it in him. He's not a granddad. It's like 31. Wayne Rooney will have a big part in this season. There's no doubt about it. I think Rooney, at this stage in his career, needs that type of striker in front of him, like Hernandez. I would have absolutely loved Vardy, but going off that first half against Arsenal, I don't think that'll be happening anytime soon. Don't get me wrong, I don't think it's impossible for us to get close to the top 6, considering how close he was for most of last season, but I think we're lacking a big striker signing and maybe a winger. Next, which is going to be probably an unpopular opinion, I don't know why I can just see it going down that way, but it's Tottenham Hotspur. And one word this time, which is one word, Wembley. I don't think Tottenham lost at home last year, did they? I could be wrong, but I do not think they lost at home. Did they win a game at Wembley? Home advantage in football is literally absolutely huge, and I really like Spurs, to Tass's annoyance, because I love how they've become one of the best teams in the country without absolutely throwing money at it. One thing with that as well is I don't think that's really sustainable in football these days. I know Spurs probably have the best business run football club in England, but to maintain that first, second, third, you've just got to be throwing money at it now, and they've got 50 million in for Walker. If they don't reinvest that or even go further than that, especially with no home advantage at all, teams are going to be coming to Wembley looking forward to it. Never mind treating it as an away game or dreading it. They're going to be wanting to play there. So I think it'll be a huge ask for Spurs to come top 4 this year. After that first half, I was very, very reluctant to change these next 2. I think you're going to guess it when I say the first one. I'm going to get biased, shout thrown at me, whatever. But in my opinion, this is justified. In 5th place, we've got Liverpool. Again, I can only predict how the transfer window is going to go. Liverpool just haven't got as good of a squad / team as the people above them. Right, let's say Liverpool sell Coutinho for 115 million pounds, and they've just spent over half of it on Van Dijk. I mean, am I missing something? Am I seriously missing something? You're selling one of the best players in the world, potentially, and getting a good centre-back. Is that a team you see losing their best player, spending over half of it on a centre-back, going from 4th to winning the title? Not for me. If they spend more than that, if they bring good signings in, maybe get a centre-mid as well, Van Dijk will shore that defence up. That defence did need shoring up. obviously. Is it worth losing all that threat in Coutinho? I don't know. Maybe they'll buy good and they will be close to 4th, don't get me wrong, but I'm going to give 4th to the rightful owner, and that, of course, is Tass's Arsenal. So Arsenal, again, it can really go either of two ways. The fans need to, I think, give the players a chance this season for one, but Arsenal usually have a big squad. Although some people usually see Europa League as a massive hindrance, I actually think it might benefit Arsenal a bit. Because like, whereas Champions League clubs are going to be playing their best 11 midweek, weekends, essentially twice a week, every other week, Arsenal could literally just have like a different team for Europa League and they'll still get through to the latter stages, which is like well after Christmas. They're also not messing around in the transfer window for once. They brought a big summer signing in Lacazette, who's got the potential to set the Premier alight, but there's a huge if with Arsenal. Jesus. And that's Alexis Sanchez. If he stays, I can definitely see 4th. If he goes, I'll give it to Liverpool. Ooh, I've still not really decided on these next 3. It's the next 2 that I'm a bit iffy about. You know what? 3rd, we'll go with Manchester United. Again, this is a weird one. I think I've seen a few things today saying that in talks with bringing Ibrahimovic back. I don't know when he'll be back from injury, but as of now, the transfer window, obviously Rooney and Zlatan's wages were absolutely huge. That's what people are mistaken when they see things like net spend. It's absolutely nonsense. Think about the amount of money United are saving just on them to not being at the club. You don't have to sell people for money. But nevertheless, they've still spent over like 150 million on Lukaku, Matic and Lindelof. I mean, is that actually it? Like, if it weren't Jose buying them, I'd be filing for a drug test. But it does come down to that. Jose Mourinho, it's his 2nd season. He's seen what works. He's looked at players who will fill in them gaps, and you're just going to have to trust him, aren't you? They are going to have to play much different than that Super Cup final, though, because that was absolutely painful. Pogba, by the way, United fans, people were giving you stick over that a year ago. See what's going on now. Like, Pogba is looking an absolute bargain. But yeah, Lukaku, I honestly hope that Lukaku becomes a world beater over there. He will score goals, don't get me wrong. He will score goals, but it's the difference in big teams, big game players. Drogba for Chelsea, just at United, you've got Rooney did it in all the big games. Van Persie did it in his couple of years. Van Nistelrooy, the list could go on, and Lukaku really does need to live up to them big names, especially with his price tag. I've not really talked about like any current players, this prediction thing. I've just really gone off the transfer window. Oh well, 2nd place. I don't know if it's obvious or not. I think it might be a bit obvious at this point, but 2nd place, we're going to go Chelsea. Can we just appreciate Chelsea have rated in £100 million on players who like don't even play for them? Nemanja Matic, yes, did play for them, but if you ask any Chelsea fan, they are not upset that he's left the club at all. Bakayoko, I think, will be one of the best players this year. He looks unreal. I mean, Bakayoko and Kante in midfield. Imagine coming up against them. I'd just literally kick off, sit down, and be like, it's over. Like, wish I could whistle. Rudiger. Is it Rudiger? Rudiger. I think he's a huge signing. I mean, Chelsea's defence was solid last year. Does very good defensively. For me, Kale is a bit of a liability. Azpilicueta was out of position all season. I mean, you can argue that it's his position now because he was unbelievable, but if anything happens to one of them, you would have questioned who they would have brought in. So, much needed signing in my opinion. I think the only bit which stops them being champions is up front, with Costa looking like he's going maybe. Morata just isn't Diego Costa in any way, shape or form. I don't know how he's worth 75 million. I've seen him do decent at clubs, but nothing makes me think he can be a world-class striker. So that's why they're falling short of, you guessed it, Manchester City. They just have to win it, don't they? I think I've seen like one thing on Twitter, they've got like 200 million worth of fullbacks or something. I mean, I don't think they have. They might have, but they're honestly a joke. They've spent 35 million on a keeper. They've got Bernardo Silva, who I rate as one of the best in the world. Have you seen him play football? He could potentially be a Ballon d'Or contender one day. Again, they apparently have the best manager in the world, who's been at all the best clubs in the world with unlimited money, so yeah, you can tell I'm a bit salty about it, but basically, Pep's a fraud if City don't win it. So there we go. Is it there? Is my Premier League predictions, and every single one of them will probably be right. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm very good at stuff like this, so yeah, we'll see at the end of the season. We should try and make it interesting between me and Spencer and have a bit of wager, so maybe put down in the comments what you think we should put on the line. So there we have it, my 2017-18 Premier League predictions. Now leave comments below protecting your team, fight for your team, But please like the video. As I said, they're only my predictions, they're only guesses. Don't need to get offended. Like I said, I'll be uploading some sort of like top 100 thing, basically just talking with you where I've been, what I'm doing for the next 3 weeks in prep for FIFA 18, which is going to be a very busy year for me. I'm going to aim, listen to this, you can all jot it down, I'm going to aim for a minimum 4 uploads a week from FIFA 18 from the minute it comes out to May. Right, stop laughing. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this type of video. I don't usually speak to the camera like this, might do it more, might not, but yeah, like I said, keep a lookout for a few more videos coming over the next 3 weeks. It's probably going to be about 13 or 14 videos in the next 3 or 4 weeks. You'll find out next video, and in my game against Spencer, what's coming up. Also comment below what score you think me v Spencer was. In a best of 3, we talk about stuff then. He puts an interesting wager on the line for my upcoming FIFA 17 Road to Glory series, but yeah, leave a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe for more, and until next time, don't forget to hashtag it.